So I shared this reel on my Instagram a couple of months ago around building trust through team building activities. And it got an insane amount of traction. Like I never imagined it would. However, the traction that it got wasn't with managers for whom it was intended for, but with employees. Employees that had a lot to say around how their managers were trying to build trust with them in like the worst ways ever. And so, of course, it got me thinking that I should definitely do a video on the channel around how you can build trust within your team in an effective manner, right? Without, the cheesy team building activities. I want to teach you how you can build trust in a really authentic manner with your team members. And so if that's something you want to learn more about, then tap that like as well as subscribe button and let's get started. Hey there, friend. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new around here, well, my name is Mac and I'm a leadership coach, but I work specifically with first-time team managers in helping them become effective leaders. And so if that's you, if you're a high achiever and you are new to people management and you really want to develop the skills required to really create a cohesive, strong, high-performance team culture, and so also you can feel confident in your role, then definitely book a call with me using the link in the description box below so that we can talk a little bit more about the new Manager Accelerator program and how it can help you achieve those exact results. So like I said, we're talking today about how to build trust within your team effectively, right? Because we want to stay away from all the cheesy, ineffective ways that typically managers try to build trust with their team members. So tip number one is to stop in its tracks overcommitting and overpromising yourself as well as your team for certain things. So the other day I got on an application call with a manager who in the application call, he actually admitted that he was guilty of consistently overcommitting his team for things. And I instantly wanted to stop him and coach him through it. But obviously I didn't because I'm there to just listen and to provide insights as to whether or not the accelerator would be for him. And so I stopped myself, but I kept thinking to myself, oh my goodness, this is like one of the worst things. Like if you continue doing this, you're going to erode trust. Like it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Now, usually overcommitting to things happens for a variety of reasons and usually with good intentions, right? So maybe you really do think you can get whatever it is done on time, or maybe you really do think your team can deliver, or maybe you're feeling like an insane amount of pressure that in the moment you say yes when you probably should say no. But either way, like whatever the reasons are, if you are not certain, it's better to not commit than to commit and not deliver. There is nothing worse than saying you're going to do something and not doing it, or promising that your team will do something without talking to them and then they can't do it and then the entire team doesn't follow through. Not only are you losing trust from your boss and the organization, but you're losing trust from your team members because they realize you're the type of person that says that you guys can do something when you can't. So my suggestion, if you fall into this category and have this habit, one of my suggestions on this is to really just take a moment. If someone asks you or the team to do something, take some time to thoroughly think it through. Don't react. Take a pause. Think it through. Ask yourself, do I have the resources? Do I have the time? Am I able to commit to this? And then respond. And if you feel like you have to respond right away in the moment, let that person know, hey, I just want to take a look at a few things and look at the bigger picture just to make sure that this is something that I can actually do. I'll get back to you in an hour. And then if you're still not sure if whether or not you can do it, it's better to commit to small chunks. So maybe if it's like a full-on project, maybe commit to the first a small chunk, and then iteratively go in terms of committing yourself to things, right? Because it's just so detrimental to trust for you to be saying you can do something and not doing it. It's always better to under-promise and over-deliver. Okay, that is the better way to do things rather than to overpromise and then not deliver. My second tip around how to build trust within your team is to apologize and to apologize quickly. So I'll never forget an instance where, back in my corporate role where I was asked to actually trained the entire company. It was a company-wide lunch and learn where I was actually asked to facilitate learning around customer complaints. So after I did this training, one of my colleagues, like not in my department, a neighboring department, he came up to me afterwards and he was like, "Hey, Mac, like I really enjoyed the training. It was really good. I really loved it. But there's just one thing that I just do not agree with you on." And I said, "Oh, okay, well, what is it?" And he said, "I don't agree on the whole apology thing." And, he was referring to this acronym that I had taught them. And one piece of the acronym was, if there's something wrong, apologize. And so I said, "Well, why do you see it that way?" And he says, "Well, I just feel like it seems a little weak. And I don't want my customer to ever feel like I'm in a weakened state." And so, of course, like in response, I thanked him for his feedback because, hey, feedback is a gift. And I continued to very gracefully explain to him why I didn't agree. And then we parted ways and that was it. But I remember thinking about it afterwards because that's what I do. And I remember thinking about it afterwards and I was thinking to myself, well, apologizing when you do something wrong is actually such a key component of trust. Because when you do something wrong and you don't apologize, what you tend to do instead is to lie, deny, and make counter accusations. All so that you're covering up your mistake. That is like, I'm sure you would agree that that is one of the things that annoys anybody in any sort of relationship, whether that be professional or not. And it is one of the ways that you break down trust. So you want to stay away from that. You want to have the humility and courage to call yourself out when you mess up. If you messed up in a conversation with a team member in setting expectations, apologize. If you messed up on a specific project and didn't get what you were supposed to do in on time, apologize. There's nothing weak about that. It's actually, like I said, it requires humility and courage. There's a lot of strength in just saying, I messed up, like my bad. And it is, like I said, a core component to building trust because, what it says to your team members is something even more important. When you are willing to say, my bad, what you're saying to the team is that you are more committed to doing what's right than doing what's right for you. Okay? Because by not admitting your mistakes, what you're saying is I'm more committed to, myself, right? And making sure I look good. But when you just admit to a mistake, you're saying, no, the greater good of everybody else is just as important to me, even if that makes me not look so great in the moment, right? So be careful about things like that. Make sure that if you mess up, that you apologize and you apologize quickly. So tip number 3 around building trust within your team is to tell the truth. Now, I know you're probably sitting there thinking, but Mac, I don't lie to my team members, so why are you telling me this? But I want to ask you, is that true? Listen, I know I have a lot of people-pleasing managers out here watching me, so I want to ask you, when you sugarcoat feedback to a team member when course correction is needed, is that telling the truth? When you receive work back from a team member that doesn't quite meet expectations and you choose to redo it so that you don't bother them, is that telling the truth? Not really, right? So you want to be careful in these instances to not sugarcoat things, like talk straight. If there's something wrong, in a dignified manner, let that person know that something's wrong. If someone isn't meeting expectation, in a dignified manner, let them know they're not meeting expectation. Don't wait until it gets to a level where you cannot handle it anymore and you lose your crap in whatever way you might do that. Don't let it wait to that moment, or don't let things escalate to that point to say something, to actually tell the truth. Because what that does is it tells team members so initially she won't, or that person isn't going to share the full details until they get really upset. You know what I mean? We don't want them thinking like that. So it's much better for you to right off the bat, talk straight, be upfront about where you stand and where they stand with you so that they know that you're someone that they can honestly rely on and that you're being transparent when you speak with them. Number 4 is to be authentic. Stop that people-pleasing behavior in its tracks, because ain't nobody building trust or being effective when they're trying to adapt to what other people want. It's just not possible. Now, I know that I just did a video on this like a couple months ago, which I'll link here and in the description box below for you, around people pleasing behaviors and the dangers of it. But I just want to call it out here again, because if you're not being authentic, then you're not displaying trustworthy behaviors, right? Authenticity is all around knowing your value systems and your belief systems and holding firm to that. So aim to be the person that, instead of aiming to be liked, that you are aiming to operate in integrity. Operate in integrity. And, make sure that you know your belief systems, your value systems, and you hold to that rather than trying to like be someone that you're not. Because like I said, I think I said it in my previous video, there's always going to be a wall between you and your team members, or whoever you're trying to build trust with within the operation. And they'll sense that, because come on, we can always tell when someone's not being real with us. We can feel it. Like there's this feeling that we get as human beings when somebody's just like not quite right. And you might think that you're a chameleon and that you're like adapting to them, but they can pretty much tell. So you got to make sure that you're operating in a space of integrity, that you're, maintaining your integrity, because that is what will really increase trust between you and your team members. Tip number 5 is to become effective. Capable people inspire confidence. Period. When you demonstrate that you have the capacity to do what you're doing and achieve results, well, people will trust and respect you. But if you're actually demonstrating in the day-to-day that you don't really know how to lead your people, that you don't really know how to manage your resources, that's not going to come off good for anybody involved. Your team's going to look at you and wonder, like, is this person trustworthy? And your boss is going to look at you and wonder the same thing. So make sure that you're constantly growing, you're developing and getting better. One of the first questions you should ask yourself is, how can I get better? In what specific areas do I need to improve? And then work diligently at improving on it, right? Like, you're not going to learn it by osmosis and being in the role for a couple of years. That's not how it works. You learn how to be effective by doing and putting in the work, right? But know that that is a key component to building trust. Now, if you want to go much deeper into specific steps that you have to take when it comes to building trust within your team, and you want to become that effective leader that gets results and that has a leadership legacy to leave behind, then I highly suggest that you check out the details of the New Manager Accelerator program, which I will link for you in the description box below. This program is really transforming a lot of managers into freaking fantastic leaders. And I want the same for you. I want you to be so proud of the legacy you are leaving behind. And because of that, that's why I'm here talking about it all the time, because I know this gives everybody that goes through it results, and I want you to have amazing results as well. So if you're interested, click the link in the description box below, book a call with me so we can discuss a little bit about your goals, your current challenges, and the gaps so we can get you to where you need to be so that you can have that fantastic legacy. All right, well, that's pretty much it for today's video. I hope you found it valuable. And if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe so you don't miss out on any other videos that I share on this platform every single Tuesday. All right, I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week. Do not forget to keep smiling, and I'll see you in the next one.